Hello, my name is Kayomi, and since ArtFight is only a couple days away, or maybe a day away, or maybe it's happening right now, I'm not exactly sure when I'm getting this video out, but since it's very soon, to get into the ArtFight spirit, I thought I'd share some of my goals and plans for ArtFight 2026, along with a couple tips for getting more personalized attacks. So I was originally planning on using the speed paint for my ArtFight card for this video, but unfortunately I forgot to click the little record time-lapse option on Clip Studio Paint, so we're going to have to stick with something a little less on theme speed paint wise. But I'm going to be going over my ArtFight card first before we get into the more nitty-gritty business. I'm going to be part of Team Mystery this year, so here's my team card in all its glory. Team cards are just a way to share some of your profile information, like, for instance, your top 5 favorite OCs, preferred characters that you like attacking, maybe you like cowboys, maybe you like drawing anime girls, that sort of thing. And then the types of attacks that you do, like, do you attack multiple characters at once, aka a mass attack, or do you only draw revenges, that sort of thing. I think it's also a great way to find new artists since a lot of ArtFight users end up posting their own profile cards on social media. Like if you go to Instagram and look up hashtag ArtFightCard or hashtag TeamCard, you're going to find a ton of cool ArtFight users. I always have a lot of fun making these each year since it feels like a little appetizer before the event actually starts. I also think it's pretty cool to see how your art and favorite characters have changed over the years. Here are a couple of my past ones for reference. You can find these templates for each team on the ArtFight website under their theme announcement post if you're interested in making one for yourself. And if any of the characters on this card catch your eye, you can get a closer look at them on my ArtFight profile, which I'll be linking in this video's description. Alright, now that my team card's out of the way, onto the real meat of this video. In the background, I'm going to be refreshing some older character art I've made for their profiles. Anyways, ArtFight is obviously a time to have fun, but I also think it's important to have a clear direction or goal in mind when approaching the event. It doesn't have to be something huge like make 30 plus attacks or anything like that, but just something to strive for during ArtFight. For instance, maybe you want to focus on figuring out backgrounds, or you want to experiment with certain color palettes. Maybe it's just as simple as wanting to figure out how to draw a specific piece of clothing. If there's anything you've been really wanting to experiment with or improve on, ArtFight is literally the perfect time to do it. There's so many unique character designs on the website that you can learn through. It starts turning into a two birds with one stone kind of deal. Someone gets cool art of their OC, and you learn something in the process. The years I've participated in ArtFight where I didn't have a clear goal in mind were the years that I sort of started to piddle out halfway through the event, since I didn't really have any motivation to start or finish pieces. As a result, a lot of my attacks also ended up being pretty basic drawings that I wasn't really proud of or invested in. I feel like it's so easy to get caught up in making sure you have a good revenge to attack ratio, or that you are able to attack all your friends or something like that, that you really start to neglect your own growth and enjoyment in the process. To combat this problem, this year I've decided to come up with a couple goals for myself. Number 1, draw at least 5 attacks. I know this number seems kind of small, but I'm trying to keep the bar really low to not intimidate myself. While I do think I'll definitely be able to do way more than 5 attacks, I don't want to give myself some crazy number to achieve and kind of psych myself out in the process. Number 2, experiment with different subjects. The past years I've drawn in ArtFight, I've mainly stuck to cutesy anime-esque girls, mostly because their designs and features are really easy for me to comprehend and draw. But now in 26, I've expanded my drawable character range a bit. I want to go for subjects that past me would have shied away from, mainly men. I'm also interested in getting used to drawing different facial features and bodies, since I find it really hard to capture character likeness when it's not my own OCs. Number 3, find an efficient rendering style. I haven't really been working digitally as of recently, so I'm pretty rusty with rendering. I'm looking to try to develop a style that still looks visually appealing, but also is really time efficient. I know this is a big ask, but it's just something to keep in mind while doing this. Number 4, experiment with posing and composition. I want my pieces to be unique from each other, really tailored to the character, which means I'm going to need to go a bit more out there with the way I frame and pose a person's character. Even if it's a simpler headshot that I'm drawing, I still want it to look visually striking. And last but not least, number 5, draw character interactions. My favorite ever attacks that I've gotten throughout the years were ones where my OCs were interacting with each other. I've always been a bit tentative drawing these unless they're characters that I know well, like my friends' OCs, out of fear of mischaracterizing them, but I really want to try this year and make art that people might really, really end up liking, and also practice posing with more than one character. These 5 goals aren't specifically a to-do list for me to check off, but just to serve as a couple things for me to keep in mind going into this year. I'm someone that doesn't really work well under super strict guidelines, and I think forcing myself to try and achieve every single goal that I set for myself would do the complete opposite and demotivate me like crazy. But also, if I don't have any goals, I'm probably going to just peter out by the halfway mark like usual. I'm someone that likes going with the flow, but also likes having a direction to flow in, if you know what I mean. If I achieve these goals, cool. If I don't, it's also cool. Just having something going into ArtFight helps a lot, no matter if you accomplish it or not. I think the less pressure you have on yourself, the better. ArtFight's all about having fun after all. Now, onto the second topic of this video. What are some ways you can get personalized art of your characters? You know, the pieces where it feels like the artist really understood your character, like they took their story into consideration, their relationships, personality, etc., and turned it into a piece that really resonated with you. What are some ways you can improve your chances to receive attacks like this? Well, the easiest, most obvious method is to just have friends that you talk about your OCs with. They're obviously going to know a lot more about your character than the average person and can use that to draw a great in-depth piece of your OC. The second way, make information on your character accessible for people who've never seen them before. I know a lot of people recommend keeping your OC's character bios short and concise to not scare potential attackers off by overwhelming them with a wall of text, but I'm honestly more on the side of info dumping on your character's bio. In my opinion, it's a lot easier to think of scenarios and scenes to draw said character in the more information I have on them. I think it really helps you get into their story and get inspired to make something specifically tailored for that character. When writing character bios, it really depends on the person what too much to read is, so I recommend tailoring it to your own preferences. But for me, I like knowing a character's personality, at least a basic backstory plus where they are in the current moment, their relationships to other characters, and maybe a few likes and dislikes. This part isn't necessary at all, but I also like listing my character's favorite and least favorite food. It's nothing important, but I just think it's fun to think about. Obviously, all of this is going to end up to a couple generously sized paragraphs, especially if your character's story is more developed and thought out. But in the end, I wouldn't really worry about the length of your bio, because if someone's truly interested in drawing your character, I think they're going to be reading that description in its entirety. On to the next method. Include art of your character that's not just their reference sheet. I think reference sheets are great for design accuracy, but not always for showing your character's personality and behavior. Whether it's character interactions, scenes, or just basic sketches, I think it's really great to show your character out in the wild being themselves and not combined by their reference sheet. If they have a love interest or friend or sibling that you want to see your character drawn with, include art that showcases their relationship dynamic. It makes drawing these two characters together a lot more approachable for people that might not have thought of it in the first place. And while we're on the topic of character dynamics, link any related characters in your OC's bio. OCs with established relationships help ground them and give people a solid understanding of their personality and story. You can do this by using ArtFight's insert link feature to link other profiles to their bio, or I think ArtFight added this pretty recently using their connections feature. You can link characters to each other and also write a little blurb about your relationship, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Another way to flesh out your character is to include their Pinterest board. As they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. You can establish a pretty solid vibe through just a couple pins, and I've actually had people draw my OCs and pieces inspired by their Pinterest boards. When I'm making a board for my characters, they're usually a mix of outfits they'd wear, places similar to where they live, hairstyles, and just images that match their overall aesthetic. And in the case that you're interested, here are a couple of my OCs with their respected Pinterest boards. And if there's any other platforms or websites that you like posting your character on, like Instagram or Toy House, it'd be good to link those as well. While doing all these things won't 100% guarantee you that super crazy in-depth attack, I think it's a great way to practice introducing your character to a completely new, fresh audience, and also learn a bit more about them in the process. And if there are any artists whose OCs you really like on ArtFight, or just on social media in general, I recommend looking at how they present and introduce their characters for more ideas. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I think I might be making a follow-up one to this once ArtFight ends to just summarize my progress and see if I was able to stay on track. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, you can look forward to it in a month or so. If you guys have any goals or plans regarding ArtFight, leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And I'd also like to thank you for 1,000 subscribers. This is like absolutely an insane milestone. I don't think I can properly express how grateful I am for all of your support. It's really nice to know you guys like these videos since I really enjoy making them. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great day and happy ArtFight. Until next time.